The evening sun cast long shadows across the dusty street as Daniel stepped out of his black luxury car. His Italian shoes sank slightly into the dirt road he once ran barefoot on. The scent of rain mixed with the faint aroma of old wood and hunger. He had returned after 7 years of chasing wealth, success, and pride. But as he approached the small broken house that once echoed with laughter, he froze. Through the cracked window, he saw his little girl kneeling on the floor, her tiny fingers carefully scraping leftovers from a discarded food wrapper. His heart stopped. That moment shattered the walls around his soul. The millionaire had everything, yet had lost the one thing that truly mattered: love. The air was still when Daniel pushed the creaky door open. It groaned in protest, as though angry at his absence. Inside, the house looked smaller than he remembered, dim light leaking through torn curtains, dust dancing in the air, and the faint sound of a child humming. His daughter, Emily, barely 6 now, turned when she heard him. Her big brown eyes widened, confusion flickering across her innocent face. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice trembling as if saying the word might break the fragile hope she still carried. Daniel's throat tightened. He wanted to run to her, to hold her, to erase every tear she'd shed while waiting for him. But guilt chained him where he stood. He saw the hunger in her face, the same hunger that no child should ever know. Her clothes were worn thin, her little shoes patched with fabric. The food wrapper in her hand was from a fast food place near the highway. It was empty, but she licked it like a treasure, pretending it was a feast. "Emily, my baby," Daniel managed to say, his voice breaking. Why didn't anyone feed you?" She looked at him, blinking as if trying to remember who he really was. "Grandma tried, Daddy," she said softly. "But she's sick now. I wait every day for you. I thought maybe you forgot where home is." The words sliced through him like a blade. He remembered promising to return soon after his business took off. But the money, the meetings, the luxury, everything had swallowed him whole. In chasing success, he had left behind the one heart that truly needed him. He knelt before her, tears welling in his eyes. "I'm so sorry, Emily." She smiled, as only a child could. "It's okay, Daddy. You're here now. That means we can eat together again, right?" Daniel broke. He hugged her tightly, his heart trembling in his chest. That moment, her innocence, her forgiveness, was more valuable than every dollar he had ever earned. That night, Daniel cooked for her with shaking hands. The kitchen was small, but it became holy ground. Emily laughed as he burned the rice and spilled soup, and he laughed too, through tears. For the first time in years, Daniel felt human again. He realized that money could buy comfort, but never connection. And no mansion could ever replace the warmth of this tiny house, filled with love. Days turned into weeks. Daniel stayed, repairing the roof, repainting walls, buying groceries. But the guilt never left him. It grew stronger with every smile Emily gave him. He began visiting the local town, where poverty sat on every corner. He noticed how mothers struggled to feed their children, how old men worked tirelessly for pennies. For years, he had ignored this world. Now it called to him. One morning, while buying medicine for his mother, Daniel saw a little boy selling flowers near the pharmacy. The boy looked cold, barefoot, and exhausted. He offered Daniel a single wilted rose. "For your wife or daughter, sir?" the boy asked with a trembling smile. Daniel knelt and handed him a warm meal instead. The boy's eyes lit up as if he had just been handed the world. That single act awakened something inside Daniel, an understanding that kindness, no matter how small, ripples outward. From that day forward, Daniel began helping quietly. He started funding meals at the local shelter. He paid for children's school supplies, fixed broken homes, and visited the sick. But he did it all without revealing his wealth. He wanted people to feel hope, not obligation. At night, he'd return home to Emily, who waited with her little drawings and bedtime stories. She would tell him, "Daddy, today I gave my sandwich to a boy who was hungry. I think you'd be proud." And he was, more than words could express. He realized his daughter, despite all she'd suffered, still carried a heart of gold. The kindness he thought he was teaching her had, in truth, always been within her. Years passed. Emily grew into a bright, compassionate young woman who dreamed of helping others. Daniel watched with pride as she volunteered at shelters, tutored poor children, and cared for her grandmother. But one rainy evening, tragedy struck. the town was flooded. Many homes were destroyed, including theirs. Daniel, now older, helped rescue neighbors through the rising water. Exhausted and cold, he found himself clinging to a piece of wood in the river. Just before he blacked out, he heard a familiar voice shouting his name. It was the same little boy who once sold him a wilted rose, now grown, now strong. The boy pulled Daniel from the flood, saving his life. When Daniel awoke in the hospital, Emily was there, holding his hand, tears in her eyes. The young man stood beside her. "Sir," he said softly, "you once gave me food when I had nothing. Today, I return the favor." Daniel's heart swelled. The kindness he had once given had come full circle, returning to him when he needed it most. As the town rebuilt, Daniel used his wealth not for status, but for service. He opened a community center in memory of his late mother, a place where no child would go hungry again. On opening day, Emily stood beside him and said, "Daddy, you taught me that money is not power, love is." He smiled, looking at her with tears in his eyes. "No, sweetheart, you taught me that." The millionaire who once abandoned his home had finally learned that true richness comes not from what we keep, but from what we give. Rose moral of the story: true wealth is not measured by money, but by the love and kindness we share with others.